All right, got my truck in. Time for an oil change. I'm sure it's had a lot in its life. It's got a ton of miles. $357, $334. But it's in really good shape. I'm the second owner. Bought it from the first owner. Had 331,000 on it when I bought it. And it had the toolboxes, so that's a good one. And the funny thing is, I don't think the back seat's ever been sat in till now. It's a little dirty from my kids. But the back seat's in good shape, carpet's in good shape. I think I had the twin sister to this truck before, except my other truck had vinyl floors and non-power mirrors. This truck's exactly the same color, same length, same everything. And it had 200,000 on it when I sold that one. And this one's in way better shape. So this thing runs good, drives good, gets good mileage. Been a dang good truck, so I'm gonna change the oil. Keep her going. Step one, pop the hood. Step two, get all the filters and water pump from your timing belt on your Jetta TDI out of your drain pan. And step four, put that up on the shelf. And then maybe one day you'll haul them to work and crush them. Step 6 and 7, make 5 trips and get the right size socket for the drain plug, and then drain the oil. And the giant cracks in my floor make for a good camera hold. Maybe. So much for the creeper. I don't fit. Step number 9, I think. Who knows? See if you can get this out without getting dirty. Step number 10, be ready with your used sandpaper, because Chevy, in their infinite wisdom, built that skid plate so perfect that when it trickles to a little stream like this, it fills up your skid plate and then leaks everywhere. All right. Step who knows where we're at. Do a rain dance or something to appease the filter gods. So hopefully you can get that off without herniating yourself. And then maybe, if you're lucky, you can trickle it out without getting it on your skid plate. I don't think they were planning that one. I think they just got lucky. All right, step number something. Got the filter back on, new filter on, got the drain plug tight. Gotta put oil in it. I've got some 1540 left over from the last couple times. I found some 1030. We're gonna make a concoction. I got 2 gallons of 1540 and I got half a gallon of 1030. So it's gonna be like, I don't know, 1335 diesel oil. But get that topped off, check it all. Gonna hold off on fuel filters this time because I've got the cat filter, the 1RO750, and I've got a Baldwin water separator under the truck down on the frame because I've got a fast lift pump on it. So I usually skip fuel filters, do every other time. So I go 5,000 on an oil change, with 10,000 on fuel, 10,000 on air. So we'll do that air filter next time. So we'll get this thing full of oil, and then I will check the oil in my air compressor because I know it's been a while since I've checked that. So here we go. So I bought this truck from the original owner. It was a company vehicle, so it had multiple drivers, but it was one company that had owned it, and they had maintained it very well. They have a record of all the repairs that had ever been done, and all the repairs had been done at the local Chevy dealer. So it's been well taken care of, and it's in really good shape. So I'll get, as soon as I get this full of oil, I'll write down the mileage in there when I've done this service, and then show you guys what I'm talking about. That's half the reason I bought it. I bought it because it needed injectors. I bought it a couple years ago. So they were just ready for new trucks and didn't want to spend the money to put injectors in it. So I got it cheap, put a set of injectors in it, had to replace the cylinder head because I'm an idiot and ruined the cylinder head. So that was kind of dumb, but it's got a new set of injectors and a new driver's side cylinder head. All right. They purchased the truck in August of '02. You can't see it, but they purchased it for $42,409.86. When they sold the truck from the company, one of the employees bought it for, I don't know what he bought it for, but it had $309 when they sold it. And when I bought it, it had $331, but here we go. 1/21/2002, full service. 7,000 miles, 13,000, 18. So every 5,000 to 7,000 miles, this thing has had a full service. They've got all this. So I know everything that's ever been done. When I got it, I put 8 injectors in it, fuel lines, left cylinder head, new coolant, fuel and oil filters, oil change, 2 U-joints and in the rear drive line. Oil filter, did a transfer case output seal, and the rear pinion seal and yoke. So I got it with 330,400, and I did the first oil change at 337, and then I did an oil change at 346. So as you go 7 to 10,000 on oil. So the last oil change was at 346. So this one's a little far. Went 11,000 on this one, but this oil has 11,000 miles on it, and it is still, I mean, look how brown that is. It's still way good. So anyway, change the oil, keep it going. I thought about changing the transmission oil because it's due, but I am getting ready to pull that transmission out, I'm thinking, and replace it with a Randy's transmission one. His stage 1, he calls it his stage 1 transmission. Says it's good for 550 horsepower. So I'm thinking about doing that because these things are pretty gutless with no chip. And I want to put a chip on it. And even lower mileage stock transmissions don't hold up. So we'll get that transmission in there, I'm thinking. And then I've got a chip. It gets good mileage with the chip, but if I tow heavy with it on, it'll go into limp mode. I've put it into limp mode twice, so I want something I can tow heavy with and leave my chip on, keep the good mileage up. But that's that. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit and I'll check the oil in that air compressor, show you guys more of that. Okay, so this is what they call a York 210. The York 210 AC compressor has 2 pistons and it displaces 10 cubic inches, hence 210. What's nice about this there's a little crankshaft in there, some pistons and rods. It's like a little engine, but this is its own crankcase. It's got a little oil bath in there, and it just, you know, feeds itself with oil. It doesn't have to have an oil feed on the inlet side like it would if it was running, you know, in your AC system. This is just an old AC compressor. This style of AC compressor doesn't really have a place to hold oil, so you have to feed oil into the intake. But this, what's nice about the DURAMAXes is they have a spot for a second alternator, but I've hardly ever seen two alternators on these unless they, you know, maybe are an ambulance or something. But there's a company that makes the bracket, and I ended up buying the compressor for them, makes a kit that will let you bolt this in where the second alternator goes. They give you another pulley and they give you the number for a longer belt, and you can run this. And what's nice about it is, since it's an old AC compressor, it'll start loaded and everything, so you don't need a blow off valve or anything like that. So I just ran a check valve off my discharge. It's down under there on the frame, and there's a pressure sensor. There's a switch back in the tank that opens when it hits 120 and then closes when it hits 90. So it's super simple to plumb up, and it's nice. You don't hear it running like those electric ones. It moves a ton more air. This thing is I believe 4.2, it might be 4.1 cubic feet a minute, when the pulley on the pump itself is doing 1200 RPM. So I haven't done the math to see what the drive ratio is between the crankshaft pulley and this, but when you rev this thing up, when you rev the engine up to 1200 RPM, this thing moves some serious air. I got 7 gallons of air tanks on this thing, and you can, so this is the little dipstick they send, focus. Anyway, it's low. It uses a fair amount of oil just because it's laying on its side, but this particular truck, you can't stand it up because the hood's too short. The later model trucks, the classic body styles, you can stand them up. They don't use as much oil, but it just uses a straight weight 30 that's a non-detergent. But this thing, when you rev the engine up to 1200 RPM, kick this baby on, I got a 5 gallon tank and a 2.5 gallon tank, and it will fill that all in a matter of 30 or 40 seconds, maybe a minute. I used it this year. As soon as it got cold, I blew out my sprinkler system with it. So it took a couple shots, had to stop and build air, but it actually does pretty decent keeping up, and it's nice. You got an air tire up, it's fast. It'll almost keep up with my 1/2-inch gun. It does okay with my 3/8 gun, but it's so nice and handy for whatever. It's changed my life. So anyway, that's a little low. I'm gonna grab I got some oil back in the toolbox. I'm gonna top that oil off and then call this service good enough. Till the next one, I'm gonna change the next one, change all the other filters, and that should keep her going for now. All right, I'm on the passenger side of the truck. This is the front corner of the bed between the frame and the bed skirt. That's a 2.5 gallon air tank. Got a little drain there. And then I put a different exhaust on this with a resonator instead of that big muffler that Chevy puts on here. And I was able to fit a 5 gallon tank there. There's actually enough room that I could get another one over there. So this truck has a ton of room for air tanks. And my pressure switch is right there, and it just opens at 120, closes at 90, kicks the compressor, the clutch back in, and then my, you can't see it. There's too much stuff. Well, maybe I can get back there. The air chuck I put back here on the bumper. It's right there. I keep a little rubber plug on it just to keep dirt and stuff out. But just right there at the back. And it's been super nice having this compressor on, whether or not it's going out and hooking onto a trailer you haven't hooked onto for a while and you got a low tire, or you're you got to change a tire, you pull the spare out, because nobody ever checks their spare tires, so it's low or flat. You know, go, you know, winching an old car out of a field or something, it's got flat tires. It's super nice to just have air right there. You don't have to bring the tanks with you, those portable tanks, and run low on air there. So I got air on board. It makes it super nice for anything I ever need. You know, if it's nice with these 1-ton trucks, this is the HD, so it rides on the heavier leaf packs in the back, so I can air down my back tires when I'm empty to, you know, 45, 50 PSI, and then, got to hook onto a trailer, gonna be loaded, so I can just air it right back up, no sweat. So it's been really nice, and it just fits in there real good, builds a ton of air quick, not waiting on it. One of those little electric ones that's too noisy, doesn't move a lot of air, so it's been super nice. But that's that. I'm gonna start getting rid of all this sticky. I got one of those rubber eraser wheels, so I can start taking all that sticky off. I'm gonna pull the chrome off there. The other side's already got it off, but all the sticky residue's there, so maybe I'll video that later, I don't know, but that should be pretty boring. But yeah, I haven't decided if I'm gonna keep this truck or not. I think I am. But it needs a little body work, rusting out on the windshield there. I've wire wheeled it out and silicone it up just to keep water out of there, but I need that fixed. Need a few things fixed, but it's a solid truck. No issues, runs good, drives straight, no, doesn't wander anywhere. I mean, I've been to California twice in this truck. Just right before I put these new tires on, I was grossing probably 20,000 pounds. I went down to Boulder, Utah, down through Torrey and up and over the pass, pulling a truck down, then hooked onto another truck, pulled it back up here, and it just, you know, runs good. It has no issues, other than if I tow heavy with the chip on, it goes into limp mode on that transmission. So I'm looking into getting some sort of a performance transmission for that. But other than that, it's been a dang good truck.